Hello, I'm Robin Sorensen.
And I'm Chris Sorensen.
We're the founders of Firehouse Subs, two brothers from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm the smaller one of the two, you could probably tell. My older brother,
Goes without
Chris,
saying.
right?
That's right.
We are brothers, which a lot of times people don't believe that, but as far as we know, we are brothers, and we're from Jacksonville, Florida, born and raised, and we're both firemen here. Our dad was a fireman as well, 43 and a half years. Chris was on 15 years. I was on a couple years. I'm, believe it or not, 8 years younger, even though I don't have any hair. I was on a couple years and left to pursue my passion for food, the food business. So it was great. Chris, when we opened Firehouse in 1994, Chris stayed on for about 4 or 5 more years,
Yeah.
which was great because we didn't have any money to pay him. So he was still being paid. But so first off, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first time we've done this. And so if any of you have ever heard us on the radio or television, and I'm not saying that we're good on TV, but if we seemed more polished and didn't make mistakes, that's because we could do editing, but now we can't do
100
editing.
takes sometimes, you know.
The first one we did like 100 takes on one thing. Chris kept messing up his line. But so first off, we want to share a little bit about, as we said on the onset, is Firehouse Subs was started by Chris and I in 1994 in Jacksonville, Florida. The first store on a Monday, open 11 a.m. The goal back then was to really just open one restaurant, and we never, in our wildest dreams, thought we would be sitting where we are today at 1,051 restaurants. I think we're in the top 40 largest restaurant chains in America, and that happened really by a few things happening, which was us surrounding ourselves with a lot of great people, a lot of great franchisees, and a lot of great people in our office, and then also the customers, you. If you haven't been there for us along the way, and we wouldn't be sitting here today, for sure. Right. So I would say thank you very much, first off, for all of your business over the years. And, you know, when Chris and I log on our Firehouse Subs Facebook page, we read a lot of the comments, and it's hard to even get your arms around it sometimes when you put yourselves in our shoes. You know, 21 or 22 years ago, we're, you know, washing dishes in the back of the original store. We didn't have any money. My dad says we were on a shoestring budget without the shoes, and
to say the least.
To say the least. So to say we're grateful, and we've had an incredible run at Firehouse, and again, over 1,000 restaurants has been amazing. But something happened back in 2005, and really leading up to that. Something we didn't plan, but we were really involved in the community from a philanthropic standpoint. We helped a lot of charities out, did a lot of work with MDA, which we love their organization, and you know, but we always thought we wanted to do our own foundation, which was kind of laughable at some point, because I think we actually talked about that at the original store.
We did.
Excuse me. You know, but it was kind of a dream, you know, could we do it? But, you know, so we always had this kind of culture in our company about giving and helping. And I think part of it comes from the fact that Chris and I, you know, we got in this business because we love food and we love serving people. And I love what I'm doing now, but I tell you, there's nothing better than working in a restaurant and getting behind the counter and having the interaction with customers who become friends. And you know, we remembered everybody's order. I see somebody in the grocery store today, and I can remember what they had. I may not remember their name, but I can remember what they had from the original store. And it really is who we are, and it fits our personality. But, you know, something happened in 2005. Katrina was about to make landfall, and as it did, you know, it started kind of weighing on us that, you know, we should maybe do something. And we had done small things like that, but nothing at that level. And, you know, we called our distributor and we said we need an 18-wheeler truck. We put, I think, 15, 20,000 bottles of refrigerated water in it, and a lot of food. And We took our dad with us and some other people from the office, and our partner Steven went with us, and we went over there, with the primary goal of serving firefighters from Jacksonville. We had heard that they need food, so we got over there. They had plenty, and we were directed by, a lot of citizens had shipped them a lot of food in, which we didn't know. When we got there, we were directed by a local policeman and said there's a lot of areas that really need help. So what started out as a mission to feed the local firemen from here and firefighters turned out to be a mission of serving, people that survived. And it was, 4 days of work. It was pretty eye-opening. It was really life-changing experience for both of us. Stuff we saw in Waveland. We served, our first stop for a couple of days was Pearlington, Mississippi, and Bay St. Louis and Kiln. And it was like nothing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was complete devastation. And when you're talking to somebody, you're handing them hot food, even though it was so hot out, what they wanted was a hot cup of coffee or some hot food. And man, it felt great. It was terrible to see the tragedy, but it felt great. And, I can talk about that really for hours. It was such a, as I said earlier, kind of a life-changing experience. But on the way home from that, going down I-10 back to Jacksonville, Florida, we brought this idea of a foundation up again. And, we also talked about the disaster relief portion of it. And, that fortunately does not happen every day. So we thought, what could it really do on a daily basis? And our family heritage of firefighting and a lot of policemen and our, family as well, as I'm sure in many of yours, we thought the best thing maybe to do is to start this foundation, and its primary mission would be to provide life-saving equipment to fire departments and police departments. A secondary mission would be, for disaster relief. And that turned into be much like Firehouse, where we had a small idea, never really thought we would be this big. We have a problem with setting big goals. We're working on it. We shot a little low on Firehouse Subs and now the foundation. But I tell you what, the foundation has been this incredible blessing to us. It's been a big part of what we do. And as we grow Firehouse Subs, we grow the foundation. And so today, just to tell you, we have donated over $24 million to over 2,700 fire departments and police departments and schools and hospitals and other charities. When we have floods in Texas or we have tornadoes in other parts of the country, we may be donating to Salvation Army to provide food and water or to somehow provide support. And we're also a lot of times on the ground there ourselves to do it. But so it's turned into this incredible thing. Originally, as I said, it was for fire and police, and then schools started calling and said, hey, would you put AEDs, defibrillators in our schools? We have 20 schools. We don't have any defibrillators. Of course, it's life-saving equipment. So we're very passionate about it. And I want to say one thing, that just over 70% of all the money that we bring in to make these donations happen come from customers. So when you go in Firehouse Subs and they ask you if you like to round up, you're getting a hook and ladder combo today, you want to round up to the nearest dollar, or maybe you buy an empty pickle bucket, which this year we'll buy approximately 260,000 pails, 5-gallon pails of pickles. And instead of throwing those pails out, we sell them for the foundation. And yes, they smell like pickle juice. We'll get a complaint every now and then.
But
the bucket smells like pickle juice, and it's $2. And for $5, we'll make it smell good. But but it's a great. And that was actually a franchisee of ours idea years ago. And we've sold hundreds of thousands of buckets we were going to throw away. So all that money goes in to our foundation. And so that adds up to over 70% of the money, buys this equipment that I just told you about. So I would say that, you could say that over 70% of our customers are involved in this foundation, and what is a big part of our culture of our company. So today, the big announcement is And what I want to talk to you about is how we can get 100% of you involved. And you don't have to do anything to get involved other than go in and eat in our restaurants. And so what we decided to do, in addition to the roundup and everything that goes on in the restaurant, is starting in January last month, all throughout this year, we're going to give a portion of every single purchase of all sales to our foundation directly from you. So if you come in and buy a cookie, then you're involved. If you come and buy a large hook and ladder with extra toast and extra onions and tomatoes like I like it, you're involved. And we're going to make that portion of the donation. We're going to do it as a minimum of $1 million this year, and that comes from us and our company. Eventually, but it comes from you first. And I hope that as you learn more about this and you go to our, you can go to the website. I'll give you the website for the foundation in a minute. Well, I can tell you now, it's right here. It's called firehousesubsfoundation.org. You go check it out and you can learn about the foundation. You can also click on there and see where donations have happened around your neighborhood. But the foundation is very simple. The money rolls in. We have a whole foundation team that manages it. We run a very lean foundation. In fact, we'd encourage you to go search. I believe it's Charity Navigator is giving us the highest ranking. I'm looking at the chart. I'm looking at the certificate over there.
Yeah.
I think we're at the highest rating, which is a 4-star, because of the way we run our organization. But go on there and look at it and see what all we're doing. And, right now, and if you've already been in Firehouse this year, you're already involved. But the one takeaway I want you to have is that if you come in the restaurant, and whether, you really feel this way and understand, but let me just tell you, all we do is raise pennies and, and nickels and dimes and quarters in this foundation. All that round up, the money that I'm talking about now, but it adds up. And it adds up, and we have personal experience. We've heard many, many stories of this equipment that we've donated. And, we get callbacks and we get letters from the departments, and they tell us, that they've used it. And in a lot of cases, it's equipment they did not have. In a lot of cases, it's equipment that was, being upgraded. They hold, like a Jaws of life.
Yeah, and sometimes, it's within days of donation, a life is saved. And we're doing it on a daily basis across the United States and in Canada and in Puerto Rico where these donations go. But, we really appreciate your support in it. And for us, it's just overwhelmingly incredible that what's taking place out there, and we all make a big difference.
It is, and a lot of people, I think, believe that departments have everything, and that's just not the case. Some have a lot of great stuff, but there's not. I've really never met any departments that don't need something.
Yeah.
And there's technology coming out, new pieces of equipment, but we're very, very excited about it. And so again, we're going to do a minimum of $1 million this year. So we would encourage you to go eat at Firehouse Subs today and be a part of this culture. And all right, so I can't read, so I'm going to make sure that I hit all of my notes. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. So we had a couple questions come in earlier, I think, and I think the first one would, what is your favorite sub? I talked about the hook and ladder earlier, which I love, but I would say with 22 years, I've eaten more of the New York Steamer, which is such a killer sub, I love, and also the Smokehouse beef and cheddar brisket. And another question sometimes people ask me when they find out what we do is, have you had the turkey bacon ranch in the store? I'm like, if it's in the restaurant, we've had it. Okay, we worked on all these. And to this day, every single thing that goes in the restaurant, if it's a straw, new packaging or whatever it may be, it came through us, and we're definitely involved in it. Which not everybody here is always excited about because we're involved in everything. But all right, so the next question. All right, why did you decide to open the first Firehouse Subs? All right, I don't think we have enough tape to be able to go into the whole thing. But I would just sum it up to say, Chris and I love to cook since we were little kids. Our mom was a great cook when we were growing up, and she works at our office, is where we're at, and still a great cook. And it's kind of two things going on. This great cooking in the house from mom, or mama, we call her. And then my dad was a fireman. Our dad was a fireman, and then he was a station captain. So back in the 70s and even in the early 80s when we were young, he had the kind of the run of the show at the station. So we used to spend the night at the fire station a ton. I did a lot as a young kid. And that big table that, we're foodies, we didn't know it, but the big table, the food, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, assuming they weren't out on calls, that fellowship, the camaraderie around the big table, that's why I love to go there. And we try to put a piece of that kind of in every bite and everything we do at Firehouse. But we love food, and the Firehouse idea was a simple idea because it's what we know growing up. From Christy S., why the hot sauce bar?
Well, when we first opened, we were looking to add some additional decor, and the hot sauce, just all kind of tied in. And we started with just a few bottles, but over a little bit of time, people started asking us, and it was a great way to start conversations.
Yeah, it was.
Because we ended up lining it the whole way down. They would just sit and read, they would try and ask us things, and it's turned out to be a great thing that we did because people love it.
I think the first store we had a bottle of Louisiana hot sauce, which we used to eat on tuna fish and at the fire station, was great. And it has grown. If any of you eat the Captain Sorensen daddle pepper sauce, so those daddle peppers are a pepper that's kind of indigenous to St. Augustine, Florida, right south of where we started. And we just assumed everybody knew about it. And everybody and their brother has the daddle pepper sauce here. So when we opened, we work with a guy in St. Augustine, Florida, that we still work with, their group down there, and they grow all those peppers for us down there. And so we made our version of that daddle sauce. And in all the sauces in the restaurant over the whole system, that daddle sauce is still the #1 user. Very hot, but has a really unique flavor. All right, from Jordan, bring back the Dalmatian dog.
Oh man.
That must be a customer from Jacksonville, because I think we had it at the original store. We had Dalmatian dog
And the Firehouse
and
dog.
they had the Firehouse dog. The Dalmatian dog, if you remember, we wrote the descriptor at the bottom. The Dalmatian dog was a 1/4 pound all beef farmland hot dog on an 8-inch poppy seed bun, and it was homemade coleslaw, and it was spotted with black pepper. The Dalmatian dog. We thought it was cute. We loved the dog. It was a great dog. But at the end of the day, and we've tried this in 22 years, we've tried so many different things in restaurants, and it sounds great, but at the end of the day, you know what people buy and want to buy in our restaurants? Hot subs, chips, and a Coca-Cola product, or our sweet tea. Shout out to Jennifer Moore, who grew up behind our first store in the restaurant, used to hop the creek to come over and have lunch with us. Jennifer asked yesterday, any tips on getting the bread from being too soggy on to-go orders? So right now across the system, other than in Jacksonville, Florida, we do what we've always done, which is to-go order. We wrap the sub up, we put it in the bag. And it's something that we know, we've known for a long time that, if you're really 20, 30, 40 minutes into this, letting it sit like that, and the steam and the heat is trapped in there, and it can make the bread soggy. And we've heard that over the years, and we've also heard people that actually, and we did some focus groups, and that actually came up where some people like that about it.
Me being one, it's like a Crystal burger.
It's never good enough. I love Crystal burgers.
Well, that's the steam.
Well, they steam the bread.
Yeah, it's a little soggy, but hey.
Hey, who hasn't
We've
eaten
eaten a million
Crystal
of them.
burgers? So, up north it's White Castle,
Yeah.
but down here it's. So anyway, we actually have done studies with multiple colleges that we commission to try to work on packaging, and not as easy as it sounds, but we have come up with a really incredible piece, and we've converted all of our restaurants in Jacksonville, I think sometime last year, to it, and so far the test is going fantastic. So we are going to roll this out, I think, in, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 months from now across the system, but it's called Bagasse. It's a Bagasse packaging, and it is an all-natural compostable product. And it's made from, and I guess you could say, I probably get this wrong, but I guess you could say it's a recycled product, because what they do, one of the items they use in it often, depending on what's available, is sugar cane. So, majority of your sugar from around the world comes from sugar cane. Some of it comes from beets. But when they get done with that, they have all the leftover, the pulp and all those things. Well, they grind that up instead of throwing it away, and they make these containers out of it. And we were extremely excited about the fact that, they are all natural, and we can get away from a foam product or even the wrap product. But most importantly to us, it solves the problem of the soggy bread. So much better, the experience. So I'm glad you asked. It was good seeing you, and you obviously are an original store customer, so we appreciate you. We're still here. I look the same pretty much, maybe 3 more pounds heavier. And why are you laughing, Melissa? And yes, I've lost my hair, but I chose to do this. Yeah. I could have a full head of hair.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah. All right. When is the King's Hawaiian coming back? One of our all-time favorite sandwiches of all time. Really love that. Something we worked on a long time with the King's Hawaiian folks. And so it's a good question. I don't know. We may bring that back one day. We may not. We'll just have to see. I will say it's been the topic of discussion here at the office a lot recently. And so we'll see. But we have some other things and other, potential new subs and things we may bring out also. So we're not sure. But we love the King's Hawaiian pork and slaw sandwich. Who doesn't love the King's Hawaiian bread? Dave M. Said my Uncle Dave, is it? That'd be Dave S.
Yeah.
The steamer is such a unique and perfect way to cook, heat the sub. How did you come up with the idea? All right, so as a kid, I used to go up to New York. So in Jacksonville, they would run these specials in the paper on Saturday for, I don't know if you remember, Piedmont Airline, and there was one other. My dad used to call it Fat Chance Airline, but anyway, it'd be like $49, round trip to New York. So we never been. We were like, I think 16. So we used to go with some friends. We'd have a couple $100 between us, sleep in the park or whatever. But we started going in these delis up there, like Carnegie Deli and Katz Deli. I don't think back then we went into Carnegie. I don't think we had the money to spend for the big, 1 pound sandwich. But a lot of the delis up there steam the meat. And as a kid, I loved it. I thought it was so awesome. I really didn't pay attention to what it was. So when we had the idea, we opened in '94, maybe I think about 2 years before that, we started working on this idea for Firehouse Subs. And we started thinking, how can we didn't want to microwave the meat. We didn't want to, at one point we're going to do it on a flat grill. And then we found out, we didn't know what we were doing. So we found out you had to have a hood system, and I didn't know what that meant. You had to wear a hood.
Money.
But it was money.
Yeah.
But so it's so funny, and we don't have enough time today to go in. There's so many things that happened to us, and so many things that are what made Firehouse, and they came out of decisions we made, because normally, in a lot of them, we didn't have the money to do it. And we were going to do a beer, in the original store we had on the plan, it shows the single beer Meister thing, and we were going to do a deli case with the meats in it. We couldn't afford it, so but it turned out to be good. But any comments?
But I mean, that's where the basic idea. They use steam tables, which we actually looked at buying before we opened, and it sits in there, and it just makes it so moist. And we were in a deli one day, actually back here at home, and saw a machine that you put the meat and cheese on a deli wrap and steam it. And it was just one little place, and they were just using it mainly for bread. But that's what we ended up going with.
State. We didn't realize, by the way, at the time, like many things that happen, we always say we look smarter than we are, because when you look back, it's how did they do it? But at the time, we didn't realize. We just thought it tasted better, and it was a better way. In fact, the first steamer went to his house, and we got it in a box, plugged it in, burned ourselves, and then we steamed some of the meats, and that was it. We put it back in the box, and for probably a year, I don't know, we never even did it again, because we knew it was better. Yeah. Turns out to be a big difference in really who we are, and it brings all that the juices, kind of back to life in the meat. It is so awesome. Can we give a shout out to store 782 in Fort Collins, Colorado? What's going on, Colorado?
What's up?
Is it cold there? I was out there by you recently, and it was pretty cold. You know, I still have my winter coat on, so to speak, so I probably could handle it. Scott S. wants to know, what are you most proud of? Well, and there's so many accomplishments and so many things that have happened as a team that is Firehouse Subs and the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation I spoke to you about earlier. And, we're just so proud for all of it. It is incredible, the foundation. And, we had this idea to go help. It was right, true from the heart. It was never about growing this big foundation. On the way back, we decided to do it. And it's turned into something like Firehouse Subs that is so much grander and bigger and better. And we're so proud of it. But then on the Firehouse Subs side, too, something that's really been cool over the years is to watch people develop and grow, not only people in our office, but franchisees and people. And, we have a lending thing that we've done on the side we've had for years where we'll, we can't do everybody, but we've financed, some of our own employees to go out and buy territories or buy restaurants. And to see people that have a passion and are willing to go work hard, which was us. Like, we had so much passion and loved the business so much, we didn't have any money. And that was a tough run, because I was 15 or 16 when I really started thinking about concepts and ideas. This wasn't the first one. We had the one, the Robin's Nest Cafe,
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah.
Probably
would have never made it.
We'd have probably closed a few months. But I'm 26. I was 26 when we opened the first store. And it was like seemed forever, because we had this passion to be not big, successful, open 1,000 units, but to do what we love and be in that business. And we get to see that so many dozens of times, in the last 22 years, and that's pretty satisfying. But yes. All right, they're telling me that, as usual, we've talked too long. But I would just tell you and encourage you to, go in Firehouse Subs and join us right away for lunch or dinner. And, if it was up to me, you'd eat there every day.
3 times.
3 times a day, every day. But I just wanted you to know from us about the foundation, we're so passionate about it. And I want you to know that we're getting you involved. So now, instead of over 70%, it's going to be 100%. You go in, you're involved, and we're going to start sending out information on Facebook that will tell you and start showing you some of these donations that we're doing from the money that we're putting in, that minimum of $1 million. And from the bottom of our heart, we sincerely appreciate every single one of you that go in and eat in Firehouse Subs. We have over 600 franchisees across the system. Today we're in 44 states, we're in Puerto Rico, we're in Canada, and we're in Mexico. And man, there's I think nearly 20,000 people that are working in the Firehouse Subs system, and we appreciate all of you as well. But every time you come in our restaurant, we're doing a lot of great things. There's something we say around here that, it's not just a sub, it's a mission. So welcome, Firehouse Subs. Come back and see us soon, and go eat right now.
We appreciate it. Thank you.